Yep.
Okay.
Push the little red button. All right, let's look at application layer protocols now. So, with the application layer protocols, it's the ones that are working on the application layer. Keep in mind, as I've pointed out before, the application layer is not where the applications are working. It is where the protocols are working that connect to the application. So don't put your applications on the application layer. They're really above the application layer. So, Internet Explorer, Firefox, Netscape, whatever, are all going to be sitting above the application layer. Okay? Banner, when it's connecting in to be able to use it on the web, is sitting above the application layer. Although you're sitting there using it through the web, and what are you going to use? You're going to use the HTTP protocol. When you're taking your test, you're using the HTTP protocol to do that. So Blackboard is the application we're using, but you're not doing Blackboard on the application layer. Blackboard's above the application layer, and it's interacting with the HTTP protocol on the application layer. Keep those straight. Took me a while to figure that one out, because when I was first learning this stuff, I wanted to try to put the applications on the application layer, and then I'd get confused on that. I'm going, wait a minute. It would make a little sense, and then it wouldn't make sense. If you try to put the applications there, you can confuse yourself at times. So, for first protocol, HTTP, the one you use to go out and browse the web. That one's fairly simple. It's Hypertext Transfer Protocol. A way for us to be able to click on text, where we use images a lot of times now for it, but it's still text behind there, to be able to link to another page. So you're reading along through the document and you see the word there that you don't know what it is. If they've done the Hypertext Transfer Protocol correctly on the thing, there's a link from it to where you can get the definition. I'd like to do some books. My COBOL textbook, I think, would be neat done in Hypertext Transfer Protocol. But the publisher didn't have big interest in that, and I really wanted to do that back in '98. But I guess I was way ahead of the game in terms of wanting to do that. Because to be able to go through there, and when you talked about a word, allow y'all to look at it and pop up what the definition of the word is. Or as we talk about in that, it's a programming textbook, as it starts talking about how to write about a certain segment of code or of the flowchart or the pseudocode, allow you to click on what you're looking at right there and actually look at the code that you're talking about and not have to be running up and down. Pop up a little box there. Of course, the problem would then be trying to be careful you didn't run into pop-up blockers on it. But you can do some neat things with it, and y'all have been on some sites probably that have done a neat job with it. Most sites just throw the stuff out there and they don't go through and do the extra stuff to it. But it's a neat little part to it. Secure Hypertext Transfer Protocol, HTTPS, or as it originally was, S-HTTPS, but you don't normally see it as that anymore, just says that our transmissions are encrypted. You will see your little lock on your browser window. So be aware of those. If you are going to send your credit card number or personal information across there, you want to make sure you're using HTTPS and probably some additional other encryption methods on top of it to make it even secure. But that's going to give you at least a basic security to it. If you just use HTTP, it is going across in wide open plain text, which means that anybody that happens to be on the wire at that point and is listening in on what's picking up the packets that's going across, they could pull that information about you off there. If it's encrypted, they got to have the key to decrypt it. And depending on how well you've got it encrypted, it's going to be especially how secure you can get that to. So just using HTTPS by itself does not make it fully secure for you. Even using all the security methods out there does not make it 100% secure for you. But it makes it much more secure. If you lock the door to your house and latch all the windows, it's much less likely that you will be broken into. If you simply take the keys out of your car and lock your car, even though you leave all those diamond rings laying across the back seat visible, you've reduced the chances of somebody breaking into your car. They're just going to literally have to break in. They can't just get in it. They're not as likely to steal it either. Y'all would be amazed when you see statistics on stolen cars. How many of y'all, what the percentage of stolen cars had the keys sitting in the car. And just in case y'all are sitting there thinking, gee, that means I can take it. No, somebody leaving their keys in the ignition or in the car does not mean it's available for your use. The judge is not going to buy that one from you. You can explain it to your cellmate for a little while after that. FTP, File Transfer Protocol. There's also the File Transfer Program that works with the File Transfer Protocol. If you're running a standalone program to transfer files, you're running File Transfer Program. It is using File Transfer Protocol to do the transfer. Quite often, when you're doing even transferring files through your browser, so you're not using an FTP program, you're still a lot of times using the FTP protocol. Although it's not used as much now, a lot of times people are transferring stuff using HTTP now, because HTTP can allow you to transfer files. And the nice part about using it that way is that if you get disconnected or whatever, it can pick back up where it left off at. So you're seeing more and more doing file transfers with HTTP instead of FTP. But FTP is still a real good file transfer method. And if you're going to transfer files from one place to another, you're still going to use it. As I'm building web pages and load pictures and pages up and everything, I'm using File Transfer Program with the File Transfer Protocol to get that information uploaded. So that when I upload it, I think it was about 100 pictures last night, 62 pictures last night to the internet from Kiwanis conference last summer. So that people look at the pictures I took at the conference at Jekyll Island last summer. I used FTP, the program and the protocol to transfer. So that's an important one. FTP uses ports 20 and 21. HTTP used port 80. HTTPS uses port 453. Numbers we've already been familiar with. Trivial File Transfer Protocol. Similar to File Transfer Protocol, except for the difference is what protocol is it using on the transport layer. FTP is using TCP. TFTP is using UDP. TFTP is just throwing the information at the other device and assumes it gets there. If you've got a direct connection between your machine and the other, TFTP will work perfectly fine. If you don't have a direct connection, you're going through the internet or whatever transferring the file, you probably want to use FTP instead of TFTP. But for instance, in the Cisco class, when you connect to the routers and they're transferring information from their machine to the router, TFTP will do the job perfectly fine because they got direct connection. There's nothing else in there, and the information should not get lost from their machine to that router, since that's the only thing sitting on that wire is those two machines. And you'll see TFTP used a lot of times there. Why? TFTP is just throwing it there. There's not all the additional traffic and handshaking going on, so it will speed it up to get it there. FTP has got a lot of handshaking and confirmations going back and forth, and it means there's a lot more traffic involved, and it's going to slow it down slightly. So you can get it there faster with TFTP, but it's much more reliable with FTP. So for that reason, we're normally using FTP instead of TFTP.